Hey, yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Rick. How are you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I love you guys a lot, man. I don't know. Zach is very young. I'm only 28, but dude, I don't know. You guys have raised him really well. He's really like emotionally like mature, man, and I really love it, bro. So, I have a house here that I have a contract, and a lot of the things that you mentioned today really resonated with me, especially the fact that I may have done speculation. I started this year, and I feel like I sort of fell in that trap, and also what reason really I feel like you pointed out was that I'm looking at comps from about 3 months ago, and I'm still in that market trying to make the deal that.
Yeah.
And
You're,
so
you're dog tailing, aren't you?
yeah, dog telling. I was like, oh my goodness, that's me. But I'm glad you're pointing it out. But here's my problem, right? So it's the house is worth about 650,000 to 675, and I have it locked up for 410. But that was coming from 445, and it was on market. So why? I'm trying to wholesale for 50,000, which
hmm
brings it to 425. But I'm having a hard time getting buyers to accept that because I mean it was just previously 495, on the market. So what's going on there? Is it really too high for buyers to take
So
on?
without me going in and doing like a deep dive on it, which I don't want anybody stuck in realtor world, this comes back to, so here's the challenge we have. So you are dead right on what's going on. We're all trying to rely on yesterday's prices, and the prices are dropping today. So it's like you have to anticipate, like, because comps are always dated information. They typically take 30 to 90 days to record depending on what part of the country you're in. I don't care what software you have, like there is a delay. So when the market's going up, it's a piece of cake, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, these are the prices yesterday and they can only go up. So you felt firm on a bottom line number. We have the invert problem now. So the comps yesterday are going to be the highest they're ever going to be, and they're only going to get lower. So if a property is dropping 1 to 2% a month, then you have to use very conservative numbers. And yes, you are guessing to a point, but here's how you validate your numbers. You just talk to your cash buyers. Guys, I am wide open right now. When I have a deal that's on the fence, unless it's a highly motivated property, meaning it's vacant and it's really run down, I'll put it under contract for what they want, and then I'll reverse engineer the price and ask for price reduction. Now, if I have somebody who's living in a house, they've had it on the market 6 months, they've accepted a reduction, but I know it's about 25,000 off, I'm going to go talk to my cash buyers, the ones I have established relationship, and I'm going to take some risks here. I might even share the address with them. Go, listen, I got this property. We can work together. I'm not making a lot of money off of you, but I want to make it work for you. Now, I don't want to be a realtor, but like I'm going to say, listen, if I could get you that property at 392 or 390, is that something we can maybe work forward together? Because I already have and I'll tell them, sometimes I'll just tell them I have it under contract or I have a relationship with the seller. If you have a relationship, they're not as likely to go behind your back, and you can reverse engineer your deal out. I don't want to put it under contract for the wrong price and spin my wheels. I hate that crap, especially if I know the seller goes, listen, I'm not giving you more than a 14-day inspection period, and there's not too much wrong with the house, then I'm going to reverse engineer that deal. What do you have to lose? I don't want to write contracts and constantly get out of them. I hate that. And I don't know who taught that in this business, but this is where I spend a lot of time with my cash buyers, and I gather as much information as I can from them. And like, hey, you can't just use flat discounts all the time. But if I have somebody who wants to buy in that neighborhood at that price point, I say, hey, listen, what's the number, knowing it needs about $50,000 in rehab and the ARV is roughly that? What number like would get you excited? And they'll tell you. Now, I'm going to tell you honestly, a lot of cash buyers, they're unrealistic right now, and it's painful. So a lot of times they'll go on a property like that at 250, I'll buy it. I'm like, duh, like I can't get it for 250, but realistically, what's your top line number like you could do? Because I might be able to put this together like right now. And the idea is get them excited about it. I show them photos and stuff like that and go, listen, talk to the seller. Perfect project for you. I've seen you've bought these 4 houses. This would you have to spend a lot more time with buyers. Anything that's on the bubble, you better make sure you have someone lined up somewhere for it. The old days, all the cash buyers came out of the woodwork. You didn't have to do any work. It was never like that when I first started wholesaling. Not even close. And honestly, from 2014 all the way till the end of the summer, it's been crazy. I actually had a tough time operating. I operated, it was easy, but I go, this can't last forever. Well, the day's here. So the problem is we're trying to comp properties based on yesterday's prices, and we're dogtailing too. And you have to buy stuff that has value in it. Here's the funny part. The sellers don't even know what to sell their properties for anymore. They're clueless. So many people go on here and go, well, the guy was offering me the house for $250,000, but he had it listed for $400 3 months ago. So I paid him the $250. I'm like, $250 is the market number. You overpaid for the property. So I don't have a crystal ball for you, Jason, but I'm here to tell you, I have to buy properties from people who need to sell. The people who they want to hold on to it, they're never going to figure it out. They're going to wait and wait and wait, and eventually they will sell it for market price. What price do you need to buy it at to be successful in wholesaling? You have to get it below market. So if someone's dogtailing just to get the market price, you're wasting your time with it. And you've got to identify that sooner than later, or it's going to burn you out. Now, here's the good news. At some point, this crap will stop. And once you figure it out, you're going to run for the next 5 years. So you got a choice. You can either get out of the business because it's a little bit challenging to price stuff, or you can figure this out over the next 3 to 6 months. But once you figure it out, and once there's a bottom of the market, it's gonna be really easy, because once we know there's a bottom line number and it's at least flatline pricing, you can confidently put properties under contract without over talking to your cash buyers, and know you'll have a predictable, profitable outcome. Right now, dude, we're on soft bottom, and I know it.
Okay.
Like, dude, I was looking at a deal the other day for $375,000. I'm like, that's good, because I kept looking at yesterday's prices. Dude, it just sold for $240, and I was going to go in at like 300, and I had to go back to my rules and everything. I'm like, this is stupid. But there's always an idiot out there who'll pay a little bit more. Remember, you've got to be in this business for the long run. You have to buy for today's value. If you don't have value in it today, it's not a wholesaling deal. The speculators of yesterday, they're all going to get wiped out. It's going to be painful. It's going to be ugly. And I'm telling you, if you can survive in wholesaling by buying value add properties, you'll do very well. And so the problem is, how long you been wholesaling for?
I started this year, and I got my first deal. Actually, after I spoke to you guys on the live stream, Zach told me to go ahead and do 100 refer driver for dollars, 100 for sale by owners. I got my first deal that way from FSPO. So now I'm looking for my second deal. It's been months, but actually I'm so addicted to doing this, and I've been getting better. But now I do have something under contract. Seems like, I really didn't follow the rules like you guys said, and now I'm paying for it.
Yeah, I know. So you get a little bit lucky. So the reality is, I'm here to tell you the reality. If you guys followed all the gurus over the last 3 to 4 years, you're going to have to open up your mindset and go, okay, that was the lucky run. Now I actually have to do this business.
Yeah.
And it's not sexy. Like, get a guy who take like a UFC MMA fighter. Like, I'm biased. I love that stuff. Dude, those guys have to go in and grind every day. Like, they don't take the sexy way out. They have to be prepared for the next fighter coming up and assume the guy's going to try to kill him, he or she. And it's no different in what you do. You have to, like, people will take advantage of you. Like, do you ever think, let me ask you, Jason, you ever think I've lost money on a deal?
Oh yeah, sure you have.
The only time I lost money is when I broke my own rule. End of story. I did fix and flip for a while. Hey, dude, it's a completely different business. Wholesaling found the deal, and then that part of the business had to figure out, and I had to figure out how to work with contractors, and I didn't know how to do it. And to this day, it still drives me nuts. When I hire someone to do it, it's expensive. And then you have to have project managers, and then all this eats into your profitability, and that's how you wind up with these fix and flip shows. Like, if they showed you the real numbers, you would never even touch fix and flip. It's the truth. Guys, I've been around 20 years. I've done a million of them. The safe play, not the safe play, the smart play has always been wholesaling, because you make the money on the deal. Let somebody else dream about the profits after it, because after the wholesaling deal, it's all unknown. You have no idea how much repairs it needs. It's like going in for surgery. When the surgeon goes, well, I'm going to go in and see if I can fix it. And they go, man, we found a whole nother set of problems, and it's going to be this much more. And it's like, and let me ask you, when a doctor cuts you open, once they're in, they got to finish it, right? There's no like, we'll come back and like a month later and figure it out. So once you open up a house, you have to figure it out. So if you stick to some basic rules, which I've taught you today, the sky's your limit. The problem is you start going down these nitty gritty speculation things, and you start hoping for the best. Wholesaling has nothing to do with hope. It has nothing to do with faith. You have to have rock solid numbers, and you have to make it work. There is a time and a chance to take a risk, and 2023 is not the year you take a risk in speculating on a property. So tell me about the first deal you get. You found it driving for dollars, right?
No, that one was for sale by owner.
For sale by owner. And why did they want to sell it?
Well, she was an investor, and she was trying to rent it out, but it needed some work. And she wasn't really motivated, but I followed you guys' advice and just build some rapport. Yeah. And she eventually just lowered it. And just like you said, and it's exactly like you said, I got lucky because I was going out there offering numbers that didn't make sense. So I did get lucky on that one, and I'm guessing that's why I struggled over the next few months trying to get this one locked up. But yeah, it was for sale by owner in Texas.
Okay. So I'm just telling you, if you will, because if you constantly change your parameters for buying, the seller's going to yank you all over the board, and you're going to let your emotions get the best of you. And so, me and Zach teach you the art of detachment. You ever heard of this?
No.
So this took me a while, and I'm telling you, it's so this comes under discipline. When you make an offer for someone, I know every wholesaler on this live stream, like you want the deal so bad, you can taste it on the tip of your tongue. And some of you show your poker face way too eager, like, oh God, please sign. And you have to do the opposite. So people say you always got to be walking away. I don't believe in that. But you have to remove your emotional connection to buying a property. Number one, you're not living in it. It's not your personal property, and your wife's not painting it or whoever. So once you understand that, when you make that offer, you have to show detachment, meaning, hey, listen, if you take the offer, great. If not, I understand. Like you just got to go, I'm going to move on with my day, just no matter if you take this offer or not. And if your sellers see that, they treat you differently. So it's just like when you open the door, you let your dog out, you got one or two choices. You can sit there and beg them to come back in. Or if you did like me, you go out and chase them in like a wet rain. And like the more you chase them, the more they run. And then I have this thing with my dog is like when he hears that patio door click shut, he panics and he runs back in. You have to do the same thing. Like people are no different than dogs. Like we have tendencies. And if you chase people too hard, you're too desperate for them to accept your offer, you have to master the art of attachment. Poker players are the master at it. They don't, all their bets, everything. It's just like, if it hits, great. Because once you show emotion, it's problematic. Now, the reality is we're looking from sellers. But if you try to pair your emotion with it, other than empathy and like caring, meaning if you don't sign this, I'm going to like freak out, you scare the crap out of people. So I tell people, make 20 offers and be detached. It doesn't mean you don't care. It just means I'm going to treat it more in a business-like fashion. Because the reality, if you're dependent on something to happen to make you happy, you're going to get killed. Do you know happy's always there for you? You can take it anytime you want. You can't have conditions to be happy. You're never going to fulfill it. I've been on this planet 53 years. I'm here to tell you, choose happiness. It's just easier. It's always there. At the end of the day, if someone doesn't take your offer or not, you need to move on with your day and just seek other motivated sellers. So many times when I started out, I hung my hat on making an offer. I go, man, if this guy doesn't take this offer, I don't know what to do. And it was the wrong methods. So how do you fix that? Make more offers, because it's easier to come less detached to it. And if you find yourself talking to a seller way too much, trying to convince him, you're too attached to your offer. So detachment, the art of detachment, it works. Don't do it on your family. You do the opposite with your family. But when it comes to business, that detachment level, I respect whenever I deal with mechanics, anyone like that. I just want them to get the job done and like know they're going to get it done. And your sellers want the exact same thing. Once they see you're emotionally attached, you freak them out. They go, Rick, why are you so dependent if I get this deal? I had a seller tell me this once, and I remember going home like, I must be doing this entire business wrong. And I was. Why are you so desperate to get my property? And I overpaid for it, and I wound up losing money on the deal. And from then I never looked back. I go, I will never ever make that mistake again. And now it's just like, sometimes when a seller tells you no, they're doing you a huge favor. So I never go for no on the first offer. That way I'm not nervous about if they accept it or not. I expect them to reject it. And then I just work my way up the line. So many of you try to get that perfect offer, that yes on the first offer, and you get disappointed. And then where are you going to go from there? Like you just gave your MAO. Like, what do? Your conversation's over. There's nowhere to go. Or if it's worth 200, I offer 120. And they're like, get out of here, Rick. You're nuts. Like, I didn't think you'd take that. I go, but seriously, let's talk about it. What do you really need to get out of this property? And then they'll come back, well, I talked to my wife. I can't take anything less than 155. I'm like, okay, now we're working somewhere. Now I'm somewhere between 120 and 155. Before, I'm thinking like they have to get 180. So if you're one of those people that always know what your seller's going to take, stop it. The only way you know is to get a counter offer out of them. End of story. And realtors are like pretty good about this. That's why they overprice all their properties. So they make us feel like we're getting a deal. So just stick to your rules, go back to the basics. And if you seek motivation first, you won't waste your time with people that aren't motivated, because no matter what you say, you could be the slickest salesman in the world. It ain't going to work. I've tried it, man. It won't work. So what else you got? What do you need help with?
Yeah, so I guess not to take up too much time as well. So I've seen other properties that are very similar to it, and they've been sitting on the market for 60 plus days. So and also I need to get an extension on my closing time, because I asked for too little of a closing time and inspection period. So in the situation, I know I've shot myself in the foot, but I'm gonna take your advice with the detachment and just go in and ask, for an extension on the time. And
So do you have it under contract right now?
Yes.
And how long of a contingency period you have?
It was 10 days.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you some advice. It's going to be a little bit painful, but you got to hear me out on it. Okay. You don't even know how much of a discount you need, do you? or if you even need one.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
So sometimes when I don't know, or like I spend a lot of time with cash buyers. That's what you guys, if that's the one thing you understand, I've been doing this 20 years. Your cash buyers will give you the confidence because they are your ultimate customers to see what you need to buy properties for. Stop letting everybody else tell you what you need to buy it for, the 70% rule, any of that crap. Find out what people will pay for stuff and then just reverse engineer it. That's number one in the down market. Number two, if you have no idea, if you just ask for an extension, you're just probably going to be in the same boat 2 weeks from now anyway.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so
So here's the ultimate art of detachment. And this is really hard for people who've never done it before. I really struggle with this. Sometimes when I don't know, and maybe I was wrong and maybe I made an emotional decision, I go just like, you're going to go, hey, can I get an extension? He or she's going to say why. And then you have to come up with some ridiculous, you really don't have a reason other than I don't have a cash buyer for it. So when you're way off base, a lot of times I'll just go in shotgun and I'm going to use the art of detachment and go, listen, I got to cancel the contract. And I'm not going to say one more. Where do I send the cancellation over? And shut up. Why? I'm doing the same psychological move I do when I'm trying to buy the property. I'm trying to get a counter or a reject. You can't cancel on me. Why? Because now I can reverse check your motivation. Now we don't want to cancel it, but like, dude, you're so far off. So sometimes you go again, well, I'm calling you back. I need an extension of time and I need a $50,000 reduction. I guarantee you are going to get a hard freaking no. So if you go in and kind of go, listen, I just need to cancel the offer. I appreciate your time. Shut up. Don't say another word and go. Most of the time they go, hey, what's going on? Jason, like, I don't understand. Like, I was really depending on you buying this property and like, what do we got? And then I'm looking for words like this. What do I got to do to make this thing work? Okay. Like, how many painful conversations do you want? If you need an extension and you're going to need a reduction, honestly, you're better off going on the shotgun approach and just doing the detachment and go, listen, I got to cancel this contract. Where do you want me to send the relief? And don't say another word. Don't overtalk it and see if they go, okay, send it over here. Maybe that's the sign you just move on with your life.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you do it the other way, you need an extension, you need a price reduction, and you might have to do this 4 or 5 more times. They're only going to do it once with you anyway. And you're only going to get one. You're either going to get an extension or a price reduction. You're probably not going to get both. So an easy technique around that is just kind of a reverse psychology. It's like, listen, I need to cancel it. And then if they start to give you lip about it, then that opens the door to renegotiate and open the door about the deal. Because what are they going to do? They're just going to have to put it back on the market, right? And they're going to struggle with it again. Yeah. So that's why I don't want you guys putting properties under contract for the wrong price, because in a dog-tailing market, a lot of times you can sit around. Now, it's painful waiting for someone to understand they're never going to catch their tail. But letting them know you'll be there when you get fatigued and tired goes a long way. Guys, I've waited people out years. I don't care. I'll come back for money anytime. And then I go find people who want to work with me today, tomorrow, the next month, and so on. And if you do this business long enough, someone always calls you back the next day. Go, hey, Rick, you remember we talked to you 6 months? I'm ready to go, Mike. And it's the best feeling in the world. Nice. Because they accept reality, they give up, and they go, listen, I got to move on. The house is trashed. I moved out. I can't afford it anymore. You were right, but you were brutally honest with me, Rick, and I appreciate it, and I want to do business with you. As opposed to all the investors that put everything under contract and they keep canceling. I love to find sellers that have had their properties under contract like 3 and 4 times. When I find that one, I want you guys to go just like this. Are you tired of playing the game? Just because they assume all wholesalers are full of crap. And I'm going to go, listen, I didn't put it under contract for this reason, but I let them do the dirty work for me. And when it gets down to the right price, then you can strike. Because once they get down there, they'll just not give it away, but like, what price moves this thing? I want it gone tomorrow. So let other people do the dirty work for you. It happens all the time. This is like an interesting market. And the people that are patient, you can still find motivated people today and make money. But the ones that are on the edge, don't go in and enter in the wrong contract price unless you really have an airtight strategy, because you're better off not. It's not going anywhere, guys. People aren't chasing these properties down anymore. And it's only going to get worse. I looked at the numbers the other day. They're staggering in my market. The amount of inventory going on the market. There's too many properties. There's not enough buyers. It's like the perfect storm. Wow. And it's going to work out. So you don't want to be the guy who bought here when you could have been doing here, but you don't have to time the market. And you guys don't, meaning that just don't buy from the people here. Wait till they're done dogtailing and they're fatigued, then attack. Not attack, but help them out. Okay. And then you'll find people that want to sell in between them, but don't sit there and engage the ones. You know, the rundown properties, you know it needs to get sold. Don't enter into a contract you know it's never going to work out. Now, if they'll give you a 3-month inspection period and like it's a little tighter than you want, you can make those work all day. But the people who need 7 7 and 14-day inspection periods. You just, when you can't fulfill it and you won't, you get kicked out of the line when they're ready to sell.
Okay, my final question. I haven't made the EMD yet because I don't have it. Is there any recourse to that? Because it's been past the 3 days, according to our agreement.
So which contract did you use?
The TREC, the 1 and 4, the 1 and 4.
So I'm not going to give you legal advice here because I don't have the contract memorized. So you have to follow what was your EMD supposed to be?
I think it was $1,300.
I mean, you could have problems, dude. I'm not going to lie to you. So like, you got to understand, suing someone is a huge whenever someone tells me they're going to sue me in real estate, they're either uneducated or they've never engaged a lawsuit. Lawsuits, I've been in a lawsuit. I'm actually working on one now. It's going on 8 years. 8 years, guys. Do you know how much money? Hundreds of thousands of dollars over a stupid, and it's not if, it's just kind of when. I'm not doing this to scare you, but when you have properties that you don't think are like quite right, stick to the 2-page contract if you can. It just saves you, because the worst case scenario, you're EMD and that's it. So you never want someone suing you on performance on a contract, because it can get painful. And so like, if I use my state approved FAR bar contract, which is approved by the National Association of Realtors and the lawyers, you have to go through all these you have to go to mediation. It takes like a year to get there, and it's like a lot of work. So be very careful. So I would look at the contracts you're writing. Like, I like the simple 2-page contract, but if you're going to use like a state approved contract, make sure you have your contingencies built in. What happens for settlement? Like if you don't perform, you have to spell it out in there, saying, in the worst case here, if I don't perform, the only thing you can hold me to is my EMD deposit. If you don't have that in writing, it's whatever the contract tells you is. And under most of these, you have to go to mediation. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to pursue you for it, but remember, if you burn a seller, they get upset with you. Like, you just got to learn. I've been there, dude. Like, trust me, I've made some mistakes when I was younger and doing this business. I just don't do it anymore. Remember, it's a legal binding contract. You guys got to understand what you're entering. If you don't pay attention to it, and if you think you're going to hide under a shell and like, fix your problem, work with the seller, be cordial, because you're at risk. So I would just say, listen, I can't fulfill this contract. It's just not going to work out for me. Most people want to release you out of the contract so they can sell it. So if they want to chase you down for EMD and all that other stuff, they have to consider doing a lis pendens on their property. And that means they have to obligate their property, but only scorned people sue you. You understand that? Think of anybody with lawsuits all over the world. When people get hurt, feelings hurt, and they get upset and they think you lied and deceived them, they will consider suing you. So you have to avoid like doing that to people. So I would bend over backwards now, and you might want to I would just talk to them and I would get out of the contract, dude, because I think you're in over your head. I'm just being honest with you. If you've promised an EMD and you haven't delivered it, I just say, listen, I've got to get out of the contract. It doesn't work. I apologize, and make it painless as possible. Because if you tick them off, they're the ones that can come after you. They have the power to do it. Anybody can sue you for anything in the United States. So if it's not working out, move on, and then just learn your lessons. It will burn in your brain, and you'll never do it again. And go, okay, Rick told me to the 2-page contract, only work with motivated people, and make sure I'm getting at least 30-day plus inspection period until the market is a little bit more favorable on the cash buyer. Okay? Like, don't freak out. Don't get nervous about it. Most people won't sue you. So I'm just telling you, you have to protect yourself. But if you guys are going to write contracts, you got to know what the worst case scenario is, because a lot of times it's not just you. You have family you have to support, and you have to be responsible for. Just to let you know, I got sued over $100,000 on a contract I wrote, and I lost. It was painful, and I thought I was right, and I learned a hard lesson. Now, it cost me $100. So I think we settled at $50, but I had a $55,000 attorney bill. So I lost, and it was all over a dispute. And I thought it was minor, and I ignored it, and it blew up in my face, and I was embarrassed about it. This is in my first few years of wholesaling. And I tell you what, I'll never make that mistake again. It was an expensive mistake. Guys, don't write contracts you can't live up to, because someone will eventually discipline you on it. And that's what realtors get lazy. That's why I hate novation. If they have a 50% failure ratio, how are you going to wind all those documents? I guarantee you'll get sued on that one. If you put my house under a novation and you didn't follow through and you made me sign all that paperwork, I would come nail your butt to the wall with a lawyer. It's so easy. And they'll take it on the contingency, because a defamation of title on a reasonable house, $50,000 minimum, I promise you. $50,000 plus attorney's fee. So it could be $100,000 penalty. Why do you think I don't endorse novations for newbies? It's bad business. And it's being sold as a shortcut to wholesaling, and you guys are being tricked into court sales, and you're going to wind up going back to wholesaling anyways. Novations happen naturally. Replace one contract with the other because you got to do the right thing. Nobody gets sued. Everybody's happy, and it's a win-win situation. So go back, do the right thing, Jason. Be fair. Try to make it amicable as possible and move on. I wouldn't try to extend this one out, because I think you've already overextended your limit. Okay? Don't freak out. You'll be fine. But I'm just telling you, sometimes if you go further down the rabbit rabbit hole, it just makes it worse, right? I was watching a movie last night. It was crazy. It was like, when like someone does something wrong and you're like, oh, we can fix it. We can hide it. And it just gets worse and worse. And you watch them like stressing. I'm like, dude, if you just came clean and let them know what you did up front,
You'd have been
you
okay.
probably could have shook hands and moved on. But like, no, you're going to do 30 years and like move on. Like sometimes just admit a mistake, do the right thing. And if people know that you truly care about them, you're trying to take care of them, they have a hard time suing you. They really do. So fix it, man. And don't make the mistake going forward. Just understand, do not reach that far. It's not going to work. It's going to be painful in 2023 if you guys do it. So you got it. Don't worry about it. Don't fret. Go have a good New Year's. Have a good time. I'm just telling you guys, write contracts. Make sure you're highly familiar with your contract and what you're at risk for. That's why if you have a 30-day inspection period, you can't find a cash buyer in 2 weeks, get the hell out of it. End of story. Do not wait till the 29th day. That's when you really piss people off. So that's why 14 days, like by day 7, 8, you got to be getting out because like sometimes you can't reach people. And guys, you got to send a hard email that you made sure they received. And honestly, send a certified letter too. Like whatever you got to do, because you get a seller upset and they get an attorney, they will leverage you. And I don't want that to happen to you. So Jason, don't freak out. Just fix it and don't let it happen in the future. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Happy New Year.
Okay, man. See you, man.